Very excited about this week's podcast. In the house with me, Stress Teflon author Luke Mathers. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks, Greg.
Great news. And we're going to chat today about how to rewire your brain by altering the stories you're telling yourself.
Yep, we're going to change the stories and it's going to be fantastic.
Let's rip in.
Welcome to the Body Science Podcast, bringing you everything you need, want, and should know about health, fitness, nutrition, and training. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition. Today's podcast is brought to you by Hydroxyburn Shred Ultra Nootropic Thermogenic. Shred Ultra is scientifically engineered to shred body fat, ignite metabolism, and boost all-day energy while enhancing cognitive performance, focus, clarity, and mood. It combines powerful fat-burning thermogenics, garcinia, green coffee bean, guarana, caffeine, and an industry-leading 4 grams of acetyl L-carnitine with potent nootropic ingredients at effective therapeutic doses to give you maximum results.
Hey, welcome to Body Science HQ. This week, I've got Mr. Stress Teflon in the house, and he's got a pretty cool thing to talk about. For you people out there that are just in a world of your own at the moment, because a lot of things are happening. Like, things are happening so quickly at the moment, Luke. Like, 1 minute a border's shut, 1 minute a border's open, 1 minute you can go outside, 1 minute you can't go outside. There's a lot of crap going on in people's lives right now.
There is a lot of unknown.
And so I thought it was a really good time to talk about how to rewire your brain by altering the stories you're telling yourself. So we're surrounded by inputs from media, like socially, TV, everywhere you go. Even if you sit down for a coffee now, you cannot not have a COVID chat.
No.
It's almost impossible.
It's a dominant thought, isn't it?
Is.
It's something that's coming up everywhere.
So for everyone out there, you're the man that wrote the book Stress Teflon. Let's rip into this. How do I rewire my brain by altering the stories I'm telling myself?
Well, one of the things about that, and just park COVID for a little minute, because we'll have a good chat about that later, but the more you think something, the more you do something, you're creating pathways in your brain.
Yep.
And so you don't necessarily have to have done something a whole bunch of times. If you rolled it around and ruminated in your head over something, you're laying down pathways in the brain that become your default ways of thinking. Mm-hmm. All right. So I think we're all very deliberate in some of the things that we do, but we're not so deliberate in how we talk to ourselves.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you have a think about it, if you think of some of the things that you might say to yourself, if you stuff something up, you're like, oh, Luke, you're an idiot. And you'll talk to yourself in a way that you wouldn't put up with hearing someone else talk to you that way.
Okay.
And you certainly wouldn't talk to anyone else the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
All right. And so there's a part of that if we get really, really conscious about, I'm going to speak to myself as an act of love for myself, and I'm going to speak to myself in a way that actually helps rather than in a way that knocks me down. And one of the things that we do in Stress Teflon is we develop an alter ego for people. We like to give people a name, and my name is Carlos. So when I want to talk to myself in a way that actually lifts myself up, I ask myself, what would Carlos do? And by talking to myself in the third person, there's a lot of science behind this. It actually starts a different part of your brain works, which actually makes you more empathetic towards yourself, a lot more self-care and a lot more self-awareness than you would if you're just having those normal conversations with yourself.
So how many times are you dropping into Carlos mode a day?
Oh, it'd be 2 or 3. Most of them involved around what I shouldn't eat.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair call, mate. Because everyone's, we're all stuck at some stage now with the ability to go to dinner or eat dinner or Uber eating more than we used to, or we're shopping more and cooking more. Mm-hmm. So that's a time when you do talk to yourself as Carlos.
Yeah, absolutely. If I go to the fridge and I'd go, what would Carlos eat?
Wow. What if Carlos is hungry, mate? Now? What happens? Where does that fall apart?
Carlos will choose the best thing. I'll choose cheesels. I'll choose, lots of dodgy stuff. I'll eat pies. I'll eat whatever comes my way. And, that's why I spent 20 years being 20 kilos overweight. Yeah. It wasn't until I worked out how to talk to myself better and change some of those habits that you actually learn to fix those up. Because one of the hassles with stress is stress makes you uncomfortable. All right. It's designed to. Stress is supposed to make you uncomfortable so that you get up and do something. And it's also supposed to make you stop doing something that you're doing when it gets too much.
Okay.
All right. So stress is there to get you started, and it's there to make you quit before everything gets too much. And so if you're on the I want to quit side of it, one way to feel better is eat. Mm-hmm. All right. So and eating stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system and calms everything down and all of that sort of stuff. And we're associating eating with feeling good. Okay. You eat something, you feel nice, you got a nice full tummy, it tastes great, gives you a little sugar hit, you feel good. So humans will want to repeat things that feel good.
And so where does Carlos come into that? Is Carlos, so do you have to sit with yourself one day one and go, so these are the rules of Carlos? Carlos.
No.
Because when you're looking in the fridge, doors open, and we've all dieted, and some of us do it every Monday after Friday. You look at the fridge and go, shouldn't touch that. Ooh, no one's looking. I could possibly get one of those in. How does Carlos come into play there?
Well, Carlos does it in a different. When I talk to myself as Carlos, it does it in a different way. It does it when you're doing that. I shouldn't eat. All the language you use was really intriguing. Then I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't eat that. All of them come from a place of scarcity, and they come from a place of I don't want to do this.
Yep.
All right. What about if whatever you do comes from an act of love for yourself to sort of say, I'm not going to eat that because I want to be healthy. I want to be fitter. I've got some long-term goals that I want to go after, and I'm going to be better for eating the salad and the grilled chicken. So I'm going to eat the salad and the grilled chicken out of an act of liking and loving salad and grilled chicken rather than an act of scarcity. I don't get to eat the pie.
So for those of us that haven't lived the Carlos model for a long time, and in the first 5 minutes of this podcast going, what is a Carlos model? So I open the fridge and I'm looking at all this, and so Carlos would say, let's have chicken salad versus let's just pick whatever's easy and full of sugar or full of fat or whatever we're trying to stay away. Because obviously you're driven to the things you can't have. That's a natural human trait. So is that how Carlos, like I'm trying to get this Carlos thing for people out there who need to understand what Carlos is. I know your Carlos experience came from you doing something once where you just had a Carlos moment.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you said, I'm going to own that. And that was your mechanism for moving forward.
Yep.
You can tell people how you become Carlos after this a little bit. But for those people out there listening to this podcast, like Carlos, what's he talking about?
Basically what it is, it's connecting a different part of your brain that makes you give yourself advice that's actually thoughtful and something that you've worked out rather than something that's just a default.
So how do we start that process? Like you said, connecting a different part of your brain. How do I do it? Is it something I've got to write down my rules of Carlos?
No, you know them. You know all those things. Everyone knows the things that they should eat.
So just acknowledge them,
particularly from food.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge them. But one of the things, I spent 27 years being an optometrist, asking people which one's clearer, this one or that one. If I went in to try and do an eye test and I only gave them one option each time, they'd end up with pretty bad glasses.
Yep.
All right. And one of the things about this stress-free way to change habits is that you've always got to have at least two options. And we don't do that. We get the one default option. I go to the fridge, there's some chocolate biscuits, I'm going to eat that.
So that's Luke, and then Carlos is the second option.
Carlos is the one that says, okay, well, what options do we have?
Okay.
What are the good things about having that chocolate biscuits?
Yeah.
What are the good things about having the salad and the grilled chicken?
And is that a stop and breathe moment?
Yeah,
Like what is that?
It's exactly like it's a fork in the road. The hassle is that we don't stop at those forks. We just drive straight through them and we stay with our defaults. Something about Carlos turns, instead of being a default, it turns into a decision.
Yep.
I actually want to do this. It's not just what I've done out of habit.
So if we're an individual that's having a moment and we have our Carlos moment and then we go, no, I'm not into Carlos right now. How do we treat ourselves around that?
Then just that, at least you've given yourself the option.
Yeah, okay.
You've done it deliberately. If you said, oh, okay, well, Carlos would eat the grilled chicken, but stuff that I want to eat a pack of Tim Tams, eat the packet of Tim Tams and take the consequences of it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to do that. It's one of those things, particularly about goals and stuff like, fitness and weight loss. The words that you use for yourself and the way you talk to yourself will give you a really good insight as to whether you're committed to those goals or whether you're interested in those
I love
goals.
that. Can you say that again?
Yeah, it tells you, the way you talk to yourself will tell you whether you're committed to your goals or whether you're interested in achieving
And that's
goals.
really good, committed or interested, I think. And I know you and I use that a lot in our daily lives when we're talking about things that we're doing and where we're going. You'll often say to me, well, Greg, are you committed or interested? And it's a really good stop point to go, you know what? I'm actually interested, but I'm not going to be committed in that. So I don't go down that path or I get out of my bucket or whatever concept you use to manage your level that you can handle.
Yeah, there's a real, I call it reset ridge.
Yep.
And reset ridge is basically, if you think about it, trying to change a habit always feels uphill. It always feels you got resistance to it. In ancient Greek mythology, there was a guy called Sisyphus. And Sisyphus got in trouble with Zeus for, I'm going old school here.
No, I don't mind a bit old school.
We're going into Greek theology. But Sisyphus got in trouble with Zeus for self-aggrandizing and pretending he was a bit better than he was.
Okay.
So Zeus, who was like the king of all the gods, said, you're going into the underworld and you're damned for eternity. And the punishment that he gave Sisyphus was to push a rock uphill every day, and every day that rock would roll back down to the bottom of the hill and he had to do it again the next day.
Yep.
So you think about some of the things we do around stuff like diet, and I'm going to do it every Monday. I'm pushing this bloody rock up this hill, and by Friday I'm eating pizza and on the cans.
Yeah.
All right. And then it rolls back down the hill. We put on 3 kilos over the weekend and we do it all again. All right. And I dare say, if you're interested in losing weight, you'll be a bit like Sisyphus. You'll be pushing a rock up a hill. And there's some really cool words that you'll use when you're being that. You'll either hate the thing that you're doing. I hate, hummus and celery.
Yep.
All right. You hope you'll do the thing that you want to do. I hope I'll exercise tomorrow.
Yep.
Right. Then you'll decide that you need to do it, and then you'll agree to do it, and you'll do it a few times. And then often when it's something that's really good and you attach a positive emotion to it, like exercise. You and I both exercise every single day. And every day I absolutely finish whatever it is and go, that was awesome. I love it. Bring it on. I want to do that again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love exercise. It's a wonderful thing. I looked at my calendar and I mark off every bit of exercise I do on my calendar.
You've actually, you map it out, don't you?
I map it out. I've got crosses on it.
Yep.
And for the last 6 months, I haven't gone 2 days where I've not exercised twice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Twice.
That's awesome.
All right. I never go 2 days in a row where I don't exercise twice. All right. Because I love it. And so the hassle is that if you're wanting to build an exercise routine, if you're attaching that positive emotion, I love exercise with it, then it's not a hard habit. You're not like Sisyphus. You're not pushing a rock uphill. It's just something that you do because it's part of being you.
Yeah.
So when it's a habit that you're trying to change, you're going to use words like I should do this and I want to do this and I really know I should. But when it's something that you've attached really good emotions to, then it's I'm the type of person who rides on my bike every morning. I'm the type of person who goes for a walk or surfs every morning. I'm the type of person that does gym, 4 nights a week. I'm that type of person. And once it becomes your part of your identity, then you're not Sisyphus anymore. You're not pushing that habit rock up a hill only for it to fall down again.
Yeah, nice.
It becomes part of being you.
Hey, Luke, you want to get a coffee after this?
No, mate, I'm going to have a shred. Best thing ever. Get your brain working, get you fired up, get you ready to go. Way better than coffee.
Luke Mathers, author, Stress Teflon, says drink shred, not coffee. Idiot. You've done a fair bit of car loss consulting at corporate level. Mm-hmm. What's some of the funny car losses that you've come across during that time?
Oh, something that people really struggle with the name. But actually, you had a coaching client this morning. Yep. He really loved the concept of car loss.
Well-known trainer too, I hear.
Yeah. Just a bit of a shout out to Pablo. He
actually rang me and said, I just did an eye goal session with Luke. Meet Pablo.
Yeah.
And I've gone, sorry, I'm in a rush. What were you talking about? Like, I'm just like, Pablo, what's Pablo? And explain to me what your theory's behind Pablo.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like it is so much. It is so much him and he's just after it now. He's just going out there and doing his thing. And I just thought that was a great session obviously had with you. And for people out there, I just want to go through some of the funny things. Like, you know me pretty well, Luke. What would you make my...
Well, we haven't been through the process. You've been dodging this one. You've been dodging this one a lot.
I've watched you do it with our team and I've seen lots of videos you doing with other teams. But so throw me on. What's my Pablo and my Carlos?
I don't want to...
I know what it would have been the other day when we were doing a joint mentoring session together. It would have been arsehole. But
no, we can have that. We'll have that chat in a minute. But one of the things about eye goals is eye goals are intrinsic. Eye goals are intentional.
Yep.
Their identity. I'm the type of person who.
Yep.
Their identity. And they're infinite. You never get there. All right. So once you have those eye goals, and mine, and I didn't have anyone to help me do mine, and it took months to work out what they were. And my eye goals, the 3 characteristics of the better version of me is that I'm curious, I'm creative, and I'm generous.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
And you are those 3 too. I totally agree with that.
Okay. I really am curious, I'm creative, and generous. And
you help a lot of people and do a lot of charity work.
When I'm doing those 3, I'm a happy version of myself. If I'm doing something like, say I'm having an argument with my wife, all right, I've been married coming up 25 years in a week or so.
Shout out to all the Karens out there.
I like
she
Karen.
is a Karen too. We love her.
My wife, her name is Kaz. We don't call her Karen anymore, but she's wonderful and 25 happy years. But like all marriages, there are times when you perhaps
She's never been to Bunnings too, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah. You're perhaps not being the best version of yourself. Yeah. And now what I've done, since I know what my sort of North Star is, I know what my 3 things are important to me. If we're having a disagreement, I'll stop and, well, am I being generous here? Am I being creative? I'm finding a solution where we're both happy. Am I being curious about what's going on with her? And almost invariably, if things aren't going well, I'm not being true to what my eye goals.
So are your eye goals attached to your car loss?
Yeah, Carlos is that person.
So Carlos, so there is a writing down of a couple of points. And so you call them eye goals.
Yep.
So what do people need to do here? For the people out there, they're driving a car, Luke, or they're listening, they're not writing notes. So write down 3 things of the perfect version of yourself. Is that right?
What the best version
or what you think the best version of you is. Not perfect, sorry, because there is no such thing. But what you think the best version of you is.
The whole idea of being infinite goals. And I love that word, infinite goals. Yep. If you listen to Simon Sinek, who's a really great person in that leadership space, and he does work with companies all over the world. He wrote a book called The Infinite Game. And the infinite game is you go into business and you don't go into the business so that you can win in quarter 2. You go into business so body science will still be here in 20 years' time. Yeah. All right, which you guys have done, 20 years down the track. Body science is still here.
I don't want to cut you off.
So we're playing the infinite game, and you've seen a whole bunch of supplement companies come and go in that time. All right. And most of the time they came because they wanted to get short-term wins. They wanted to, get good sales in quarter 4, and all of a sudden, by quarter 2 the next year, they're gone. Body science isn't, because they play the infinite game. Yep. All right. And I think we kind of got to do that with our goals. That I'm not going to get to 80 years old and say, yes, I've had enough of being curious now. Yeah. I'm done with curious. Yeah. No, I want to be curious when I'm 80 years old. It's a really important thing to me. And when you know those, whenever you're having a bit of a storm inside your head and you don't quite know what's going on, having that North Star to go back to and say, that's what the best version of me, am I being that, is a way of connecting the smart part of your brain and the emotional part of your brain. And then you'll make good decisions.
Mate, that's awesome. Is there somewhere people can go to learn more about this?
With Finding Carlos. Yeah, it's evolving, and it's evolving all the time. But what the way that I'll give you the quick version of the process we do is we work out.
Can we do it now? Is it something we can do verbally here? I mean, obviously this is your IP and you sell it, and I get that. No,
that's okay.
I'm not talking about giving away your IP, but can we do a 3 or 4 step eye goal session right now for people listening, and just in their heads they can go, okay, that's me, I've got that, next step.
Okay, well, you have to think of a few people. Yep. Think of someone in your group.
So I'm sitting opposite you right now, and you're saying to me, think of
a person in your circle of friends that you admire qualities about them. Yep. Okay. All right. So he's just written down Luke on there, which is really, really nice when people do that. Funnily enough, I did this with your daughter, and one of the persons she used to find hers was me, which I've
really?
Yeah, nice. And it was also her mother. It wasn't you, funnily enough, it was her mum. There you go. But what Greg's written down there, what characteristics of me would you aspire to? I'd like to be more like that.
So there's 3 characteristics we're working on here?
However many you want.
So everyone just stop and think of 3 characteristics of that person you've just thought about right now. Yep.
And you go through them. I pick a person from history.
From history, okay.
And when I did mine, it was Nelson Mandela. Yep. Nelson Mandela started out as a freedom fighter, was basically a terrorist, created havoc, went to jail for 27 years, came out and united a country, had one term in charge of South Africa, and then handed it over to other people so he could do more work to unite his country. It was amazing. Yeah. It was so selfless, no ego involved with it at all. He just wanted to do the right thing and make his country better.
So everybody pick someone from history that you admire.
Yep, you admire their qualities.
So far, we've picked a person that we admire. We've written down 3 things that they admire.
3 characteristics of them.
Yep.
And it's not, I really admire the fact he's got a nice car. Yeah. It's qualities of them as a person.
Absolutely, yeah. We're talking about humanity here. So now you've picked another person from history.
Yep.
Do we have to identify anything, just the person?
Yeah, it's just the person. And then there are 3 things. Yep. There are 3 or 4 things, or as many as you want.
3 things on the person that we admire, then the 3 things on the person we admire in history. Okay, I'm with you now.
Then pick someone from a movie or something like that. I often use Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side. Remember that movie where she adopts the big football playing African-American kid and doesn't care what her friends think. She's creative about it. She really cares. She's super generous. And she was fantastic. And
so we're documenting 3 things on that woman as well.
So we've now got 3 different people who we admire their qualities. Okay. Then this is where it gets interesting. We go, think of a time when you were at your best, when you were firing on all cylinders, when you were just loving life and on top of the world and killing it. Yep. All right. And the weird thing about that, and I've done this, hundreds of times now, is that every single time people go to that person, they go to a place that was hard. Okay. No one goes to the place, that time when I was, lying on the beach here and doing nothing. They go to, no, I was doing this and I had all of these problems and I solved them and I had these issues that we sorted out and we ended up building this and I was so proud of it and I helped these people, and they always come back to something that was actually a struggle. And that when we look back on our lives, the best parts of our lives were almost always a striving moment, thing that we were having to work really hard. And that's sort of part of being stressed Teflon. You actually love that stuff. We just don't love it in the moment, and we've got to learn to.
So we're writing 1 situation here or 3 things things that happen in that
one particular time, and then you describe the characteristics of what you were like.
Okay, of you. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So and then we do another one, which is a bit more complicated, which I won't get into now, that's about the bad part of you and how can we reverse that. And then all of a sudden you've got, 10 or 15 words up on the board of characteristics that you think are important. And then we work out how to put them. And that's where you get
three, and that becomes Carlos.
So you get that curious, creative, and generous.
So, mate, can we put a bodyscience.com.au/podcast? And I think this will be in the 170s, but it should be at the top of the webpage. Can we put a little sheet on the bottom of that's got just those points you talked about there? Or you've got one? Or look, if we can put that little form up there, because people might be driving or running or walking or training right now or trying to go to sleep, whatever works for them. So bodyscience.com.au/blog/category/podcast. If you go there and look for the Luke Mathers How to Rewire Your Brain by Altering the Stories You're Telling Yourself, there'll be a little piece of paper there that you can do this for yourself. It's unreal. We'll have to set something up, Luke, where people can actually send theirs back to you and get some feedback and actually make it more interactive too.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful experience in a coaching situation where you're sitting there. I've got an entire wall in my house that's whiteboard. And so we end up filling this whiteboard with all of the things that people find important. And the last thing we do when we're doing our eye goals is at the end, I get them to write it up in really big letters what they're finding.
And
Carlos, they own it. They write it up on the board. And every single time we both sit back, we both look at it and go, hell yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's you. That's who you want to be. Merry Christmas. We've got a North Star now.
Mate, I love that. And look, before knocking off this time, you rang me up during the week, Greg, and said, Greg, I'm doing shred naps. What is a shred nap?
Shred naps are awesome.
I
got this idea from Dan Pink. He wrote a book called When, which is a fantastic read. And what they've discovered is that if you sleep for about 20 minutes, you don't go into those full deep cycles of sleep and you don't wake up drowsy. If you have a snooze for about 20 to 25 minutes, you still wake up okay. And what we've also noticed is that things like the green tea extract and the caffeine and stuff that you get in shred takes about 20 to 25 minutes to hit the system. So if you take the shred, lie down, have a little bit of a nap, you get the cumulative effect of having a little bit of a nap, and then you get the caffeine hitting the system at the same time that you're waking up, and you wake up fresh as a daisy, ready to go. The nootropics in shred have your brain switched on, ready to fire up, and whatever you want to do to get through the afternoon, we get that flat spot in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Shred naps are the best way to kill a flat spot. You'll smash it up.
Mate, I love that. But so say I'm in the office, can I have a shred nap if I've got like an afternoon concept where I can go disappear and I can't lie down, get in bed and have a sleep? Can I just sit in a corner, close my eyes?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Anywhere comfortable, I do it on the floor.
So part meditation type concept, part
Yep. No, you can start off with the meditation. I just go straight to having a snooze.
Yeah, you're good at it because you're controlled and you're Carlos. Carlos is obviously awesome.
Carlos can do everything.
But so, for those people out there that are listening, and not everyone, a lot of us are working from home and stuff, but you're a massive fan of shred naps.
Shred naps are fantastic. And when you wake up, the nootropics have hit the system, the caffeine's hit the system, the guarana's starting to kick in, and all of those things that are designed to, almost fire up your system. They're a bit like stress. They're actually that good part of stress. It fires you up and gets you going. And then you've had that recuperative thing of having a bit of a sleep, which cleans out a few of the toxins in your brain and all of that sort of stuff. So you're up and good to go. And, naps are good. Coffee or shred's good. Coffee naps or shred naps are far and away better than all of them.
Mate, I'm all about shred naps this summer. Coming into getting shredded for summer, everybody. Let's get on board. Luke, thanks for coming in, mate. Just want to say stressteflon.com.au is your website. Anybody wants to download your book, they can get it on...
They can get it on Amazon. Amazon with Kindle.
Yep.
You can actually get the book free at the moment with Calm Stress support from Body Science. So jump on the Body Science website.
You can too, and that's a cardboard book. That's not a little ebook. That's a real put it in your hands and read a book.
Yeah, hardcover, crunchy book.
So get on board, bodyscience.com.au. Look at the Calm Stress support and Luke's book's there. Thanks, mate. Today's podcast was brought to you by our partners in Fit, Happy and Healthy, ASN, Nutrition Warehouse, DY Discount Vitamins, Fat Burners Only, Evelyn Faye, Mr. Supplement, or find a retailer online at bodyscience.com.au/retailers.